So moving on, I installed the screws in there in the motherboard just to make sure it's secured, and I also fed the cabling from the back side just so I don't want to bore you guys with all the with too much information. So the next thing that we're going to work on putting the power supply, which is right here, and we're going to put this inside the case. So we're going to flip this case around, and again, all cases are not built the same, but this particular case, you have to turn it over and feed it into this side right here. And then it's going to pop in, and then you're going to grab your screws. And what we'll be doing is securing the power supply. And again, I apologize if you can't really see that well. Hopefully I'm getting it so you can actually see it. You'll see the screws as they line up with the in the back of the where the power supply is. As a matter of fact, once I get this other screw in here, I'm going to flip it over so you guys can actually see the screws and how they fit in there for future reference. So I'm going to pop this in here like so. And then, okay. So I'm going to turn it over so you guys can actually see. And you can see how the screws line up right here. I'm going to have to move these over just a little bit so the other ones can fit. There we go. And then I'm going to put this one in here like so. And then make sure those are secure. You want to make it tight, but not too tight, because if you ever have to make any adjustments or anything like that, you don't want to be, killing yourself trying to get this stuff back up in there. So now the power supply and the motherboard are secure. Usually, and then for these, you feed these wires up through these holes right here, and there's a big hole right here, so you can kind of put it on top right here. You can feed all this stuff up here because you're gonna need it. All right, I'm gonna flip this over and we'll start pulling these cords through because you're gonna need them. And I know it looks like a lot of cords. I don't want you to get overwhelmed or anything like that. And this particular cord, this one's for the motherboard, so I'm going to bring this one back because this one's not, usually these ones are not as long. So I'm going to bring it back through, this one in particular, and I'm going to feed it right up through here because this one is, I'm going to need this one for the motherboard. And that one looks like that one's not going to cooperate. So we'll feed it. And you just got to be very, very careful. There's transistors and things everywhere. So you want to be very, very careful when you're feeding these cables through here. And you want to make sure, and we're probably going to need an extension for that one, but we'll see. So I'm going to put this back here like so. And now you have all your power cables that are fed from the power supply itself. This one is not a modular power supply. If it was a modular power supply, you'd be able to take piece by piece on there. All right, so now that we have that, we will go ahead, and I'm not gonna do the memory quite yet. I am going to take care of this M2 drive real quick. As you can see, for the M2 drive, it has a little divot right there, and then if you can see in there, there's a divot in there. Let me turn this around so it'll be easier, so the light can kind of get up in there. All right, so there's a divot right here, and as you can see, hopefully you guys can see that. There's a divot right there, and there's a screw right here. So what we want to do, we want to loosen this screw right here, and you can either twist it, or I'm gonna need a smaller screwdriver. Oh yeah, when you're in here, make sure that you have multiple different sets of screwdrivers, just so you wanna, just in case, you know, you have different ones for, you know, different parts of the job. So when you fit it in there, it just should just fit right on in there. And again, you shouldn't force it. So now this one in particular is being used for a, if you pop it in there, I want you guys to really see. Before I secure it down, I want you guys to see. So for these ones in particular, these have 2 sets of screws. So when you lay it on there, it just fits right in there like so. And then you should just be able to lay it down right there. And then when you put the screw in there, it'll just fit. It'll fit right in there. So I'll take this one. And we will fit it in there. Let me see. Like